Can a person with a true heart and desire to help others, to give back, do so by getting into the note business? Stay tuned. So welcome to today's edition of Note School TV, where we go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. And this week, yes, we have an amazing lady on the show today as our guest, and you'll get to meet her in just a minute. But she does have an amazing heart to serve others, and you'll see that here in just a minute. But first, got a couple of favors to ask of you. Number one, if you will make sure and hit that like button that you like what we do here on Note School TV every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. And then also, if you have not already done so, hit that subscribe button, right? Subscribe to the Note School TV channel. And then number three, the big one, right? Hit the bell. Hit that bell notification. If you hadn't done so, do it now, right? And so you will be advised as to when we go live every Wednesday at 11:05. Also, we love your comments. We love your questions. So please make sure and continue to get those in. And if you have more questions or more in-depth questions about what we do at Note School, please take a minute and just go to noteschool.com/TV. And we would be happy to communicate with you either by phone, by email, whatever it is you choose. We want to talk with you and we want to share with you what we do. So at this time, well, we do this every week, and now here is the news. So here is the news. So we talk about at Note School a lot about people getting out and reading the headlines and never reading the body of an article, what the article really has to say. So I was eating breakfast this morning and I saw this come in from DS News and Adam Data Solutions, which is a big friend of Note School as well. We get a lot of our analytics from Adam Data Solutions. And it says in the headline, which, is interesting, right? Foreclosure update, the slow and steady climb back to normal, right? And then, whoa, you read the first sentence, and this number sounds rather, it sounds okay. Well, only 30,881 new foreclosure filings were put out in March or in May. But then we look, and it says default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions up 1% from a month ago, but wait for it, 185% from a year ago. So 30,881 in the scheme of things, right? But we know there are somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million properties in some state, right, of foreclosure. So here are the nationwide, one in every 4,549 housing units had a foreclosure filing in May of 2022. That means they are in the process of being done. Illinois is number one in 2,000, New Jersey number 2, and Delaware, Ohio, and Florida. And as a matter of fact, the states or the cities in the United States with the most cities of 1 million or more with the most foreclosure filings, guess they're all three in Florida. Jacksonville is number 1, Orlando is number 2, and Miami, Florida is number 3. So my home state, well, it's looking like it's going to be interesting. And, well, we could call it sporty as well, right? So that is the news for this week. It's certainly next week we're going to have our monthly update. And Eddie and we've got a lot of things to go through to come up with, our top 10 for the update next week. So stay tuned. There's a lot of things going on in the real estate and the note business, and we want to keep you guys informed. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest today. And she is from well, actually, I think she was born and raised in kind of Louisiana, and then through, some travels and so on, ended up in Texas. And I'll let her tell her own story in just a second. But let me introduce our guest today, Hànanda Whittingham.
Hi, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Really good. Thank you.
And you are
Yeah,
in New Braunfels. Did I say that correctly?
you did not, according to locals.
Okay. Well,
It's
how should I?
New Brumbles.
New Braunfels. Even though it's spelled with an F, it's really pronounced like a V, huh?
Maybe that's just my British accent. I'm the blind leading the blind here.
So you have. Well, I'm not going to give away the story here because I want you to unpack that as we go here. So, guys, this lady has an amazing story. Amazing story about what she's done in her life, about helping others, not only here but in Europe, and then moves to Texas and still is doing so, and doing so on so many different levels in her, let's call it air quotes, right? Day job, right? And then your endeavors and kind of this path that you've gone on. So share with us, Hànanda, the your varied past, as you said there when we started, earlier.
Yeah, so I started, varied thing is really accurate. I've done a lot of things in a fairly short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I finished university as a nuclear pharmacist, and I ran an incredible nuclear pharmacy lab. And ultimately, in my 20s, I recognized that that was not what I wanted to be doing. But
So hold on just a second. So
yeah,
tell the audience here, what is a nuclear pharmacist?
good question. I made radioactive drugs. So I went to pharmacy school, and then I got a specialty in handling radioactive materials and what was needed to make that safe. And yeah, so I
So,
make radioactive drugs. So if you've ever been in for a heart scan or a bone scan,
mhm.
I made those materials. Yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so guys, she is not, we talk about a rocket scientist, but we have a nuclear scientist, which I think maybe even trumps, not, no offense to any rocket scientists out of there, but okay, so a nuclear scientist with a pharmacy. Okay, so go ahead. So you have a PhD in pharmacy?
Well, at that time, a PhD wasn't required.
Oh, that's right. There you
So
go.
I just had the extended degree and then my specialty degree in radioactive
Right.
materials.
Okay, so
Um,
I'll let you go on then. I just had
no,
to ask
great.
about the nuclear thing because, yeah.
And basically, it was not. I went into pharmacy. I thought it'd be helping people, and that's not what I found. Whenever I got my degree,
Hmm.
and I traveled for a couple of years. I figured, well, if I'm going to do it in my 20s. So I traveled for a couple of years, and very early on in my travels, I was traveling overseas very early on, and in fact, within the first couple of months of traveling, I found a meditation center,
Mm,
and I learned how to meditate in 1998, and that really changed the course of everything else I've done since then.
yeah.
And I became a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, and I essentially spent the next 20 years traveling, and well, the next 2 years traveling, and then traveling and volunteering for 20 years.
Wow.
So that really shaped, volunteering for nonprofits.
Yeah.
That shaped all of my other choices. Yeah.
And you lived in England for 20 years, right? Or
I
almost
lived
20
in,
years.
yeah, I lived in England for 18, and then New Zealand and Australia for the two before that.
So Hànanda, you were holding out on me. I knew about England, but I didn't know about Australia and New Zealand, right? So yeah, you were keeping a little mystery there, huh?
Absolutely. Got to be a woman of mystery these days.
Very good. So you end up leaving Europe, right? You
Yep.
moved to Texas,
Yep.
and so that desire to serve followed you to Texas and kind of where you are now. So let's talk about that part of it, and then we'll talk about your real estate journey. How about that?
Yeah. So whenever I left England, I did think that I was going to come back here and I might do something very similar, open a nonprofit based around meditation and yoga and helping people in, let's say, the more holistic ways.
Mhm.
And just one decision led to another, and lots of chops and changes along the way. And here I am in the note business.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we've shared this, and so you are not unlike many people that are in the note space. You took a different path to get there and realized that those other paths really were not really what you wanted to do. So talk about kind
Yeah.
of your path, about your rentals, and then your and the challenges there, and then your fix and flip and all that as well.
Yeah, so I came back and I was thinking I was going to start a retreat center, something very similar to what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And when that didn't look like this was the greatest market to do that, I started looking at other businesses and I was, oh, I'll buy a meditation center, I'll buy a retreat center, I'll buy a yoga studio. And then I looked at restaurants, I looked at all kinds of businesses to buy. And I realized that at the end of the day, I was buying a job and the numbers didn't add up. The time value exchange didn't add up. And I grew up with my dad having, seemingly always having a rental house project that he was dealing with. And I was like, oh, that feels familiar.
Right.
And so I started looking into rentals and I realized fairly quickly that I could do a few of those, but I wasn't going to change my life or anybody else's life
Right.
with a few rentals.
Right. Well,
And then,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it
And then I
comes
just
up.
started looking at other options.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it comes up with, you've got a lot of money invested, and you've got, even though in a rental, and then you've got,
Mm,
the continuing to grow that business and to try to scale it. It's a task, right? We're not going to beat it up at
yeah,
all, right? And then you
yeah,
started. You were going to do some fix and flips, right?
exactly. So it was in this circuitous wrap that I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. Then I figured I looked in some programs that, well, I used a nonprofit called SCORE to help me evaluate some of the businesses I
Is
wanted
that the
to
service
purchase.
corps of retired executives?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
so good, a
Yeah.
really fantastic resource. And so I started talking to a couple of their real estate investors and figured out how I could do that on scale.
Mhm.
And that was really great. And then I got interested in the fix and flip side. But what happened, I was actually redoing my own home at the time and dealing with the contractors. Well, I did not enjoy that.
Right.
I did not
Well,
enjoy that at all. I was like, that is not my calling, and that's not why I'm here on earth.
I was talking with my neighbor that lives across the street. They are redoing their house, and she says they've only been in it or been redoing it. They've lived in the house for 40 years, but they've been working on it for about a month now. And I said, so have you learned that when a contractor says 2 weeks, it really means like 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever it is, right? I mean, she goes, yeah. She said, it's driving me crazy. And,
Yeah,
and I get it. And, there's you read everywhere, you read shortage in labor, materials have came down, but labor, it's not gotten any better. So
yeah.
you then were looking around for something else, and you did some research and found, how'd you find notes?
Well, I found that in this whole circuitous route, so I decided fix and flips are not my thing. So then I started looking at a professional program to really help me develop as a real estate investor.
Right.
And interestingly, I got very close to working with I'm going to say a self-appointed guru
Okay.
in the real estate space. And funny, I was having nightmares about the whole thing before I ever parted with a dime.
Right.
It just started feeling like a good idea. But the great thing that happened from it was from this connection, I got invited to an event in Houston, and I was living just outside of Houston in the Woodlands at the time. And it was at that event that Brian Lautner was teaching about Node School. And he was the last presentation of, I think, 2 or 3 day event. and it was an hour, and I was like, it just felt like the penny dropped, that like this is the thing.
There
It's
you
big
go.
enough for me to not have a job. It's big enough for me to be able to help other people and to really have the impact that I'm looking for and use my unique skill set to do so.
Gotcha. So you know what? This could not have been a better segue talking about Brian, because we're going to take a quick break, guys, and Brian is actually going to tell us about tell you about our you guys, our viewers, about our 1 day class. So let's hear from Brian real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up, Hànanda.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at Note School, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a 1 day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really digging and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
Well, so there's Brian. Brian's a great guy, by the way. And so you see Brian, you're all in at that point, right?
Yeah.
And so you then start going down the path of, we teach three things or we do a lot of stuff, but three legs, right? We teach creative financing, buying and selling on terms, working with burnout landlords. And then the second one is performing loans, buying and selling notes and so on. And the third one is non-performing notes, right? So we'll talk about that in just a minute, right? But so you start, putting the pieces together, talking about raising capital and so on. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to kind of build your business, and then decide which of those areas, because kind of where you've ended up now isn't where you thought you would end up when you got involved. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So what I've gotten to where I'm comfortable with is, and whenever I was in the Woodlands again before I moved, was I was starting to have more one-on-ones with potential investors, and I was growing my skill set in that and getting comfortable with the material and getting it tighter in time and answering loads and loads of questions. And that felt great. And then obviously, well, not obviously, but I did move. And now I feel like I'm actually ready to go to that next place of, well, in fact, yesterday I got invited to talk to a women's group of entrepreneurs, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm ready to take the marketing piece and the actual, I feel like let me rephrase that. I feel like I understand enough, and I have honed my skills enough to actually start actively seeking capital and investors. And that feels great.
Well, the biggest thing that we see and is with folks when they come in, and whether they're, you're buying and you're doing houses or you're doing notes, right? You're one or the other. They're both the real estate business. It's just a different area. But the two concerns are, number one, capital, right? And number two is inventory. And so, you're down that path, and you and I've talked about this several times, and you're along that path. You're moving that way as far as raising capital and working with investors. And and I'm so happy that you're talking with this group. That's going to be amazing for you. You'll have to, report back with us to us on that. And then the inventory. So when you started, you were going to go into the creative finance piece of that, working with burnout landlords and that kind of got burnout during the pandemic and when rents weren't getting paid and so on. But so you were doing that, and then you just kind of, I don't know, decided that P word that we learned during the pandemic, pivot, right?
Yes.
Unprecedented and pivot, right? Those are the two big words. So now, what are you working on now?
I'm really focused on non-performing loans right now. And what I really love about them is the many, many opportunities. I see so much. I'm a creative person, and I see so many different opportunities for exit strategies and more opportunities in actually helping people, the borrower, and get creative there. And I like that. I find it really stimulating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about, and this we've talked about on this show many times with other guests about, the way it was back, in the Great Recession, the last, non-performing note cycle. And one of the things that I loved about participating in that note cycle was the fact that, yes, you could help people, right? You could help people. We could help people one at a time. That I'm just going to say it, that the feds, that the government, not that the government should do everything, right? Which is us, right? In reality, but we could help people one at a time. We could help families one at a time. And that is directly, as part of this today. I mean, the news today. And that's why I picked that news story, is talking about, people losing their houses. And, we can buy these loans that the lenders have given up on at a discount, right? And then we can kind of help these families either exit them with dignity, right?
Exactly.
Get them paying again. And so, you talk about that just a minute, and about what what your path with that. I mean, it's a learning curve as well, right?
Yeah. And it is that sense of like, wherever we are, we all want to feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the thing that drives every human decision. And somebody who's stuck in a place that they can't figure out how to get out of their situation, and they don't have a nudge in any way, and just being able to be that person who can say, I love what you just said about helping them to leave a situation with dignity, or how to start again with different expectations. And that's where, again, you can get creative. And I really like being able to have that conversation with the borrower and saying, like, what do you need? What are your goals? And what can I do to get you there?
That's right. And it's giving somebody a hand up, and that's what I love about the business. That side, well, all of the business is that way, but this is really focused on people that are in the depths of it, right? I mean, I've owned some houses that I really needed to sell, right? And every time I've done that, seller financing, came to the rescue, and honestly, and I just see that as it's not many people know about it. Not that many people are participating in it right now, but it is something that is going to be part of people's lives throughout the United States for the next couple of 3 years. So it is a big opportunity, and it is an opportunity to reach out and help. So we know that you do what you do because you have a big heart, but some closing statements or something that, encouragement for other folks out there that are looking for something, something else to do in the real estate market or industry.
If you have a desire to help other people, and you desire to be able to have creativity in what you do, and having a job is not what you're really looking for, and you're looking and you want to create change, I think the note space is, for me, it offers me all of those things. And again, as a creative person, as a person who I truly believe I'm put on the planet to serve,
Right.
it's really captured my imagination. And I see the huge potential for change for me and for people that I feel passionate about helping. And in my scavenger hunt of finding solutions for the problems I want to solve, so far notes has been the thing that has felt the best and has given me the most solutions.
All right.
Most opportunities. Yeah.
There you go. And Hànanda is she's on the job. She's bringing her deals that she's finding into our weekly deal labs, and we're talking about those. And she's out there, and one of the other things I like about non-performing, it is really, you're kind of an investigator, right? You're in there, you're sleuthing around, and you're discovering things about and whether it's the homeowner you're helping, to get out of a situation, but if it's a non-performing loan, the lender, right? And the lender could be not Bank of America, but it could be grandpa and grandma, right? So anyway, Nanda, thanks so much for being a guest on the show, for being who you are, right? And doing what you do for folks every day. So I appreciate you being on, and I look forward to talking with you, and we'll see you here in a few weeks.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Guys, this is the kind of thing that, that we talk about at Note School. This is the kind of, folks that we, have as, in our ecosystem. And I think that's really a cool thing. I say this often. I've never said this on Note School TV, but, one of the things that I love about Note School is this ecosystem of folks like Hànanda, and that we have a true desire to not only, to improve their business or to move their business forward, but to also help others. And I think that's an amazing thing. And this lady she's an amazing person. So guys, thanks so much for being with us today. Again, more information, noteschool.com/TV. Noteschool.com/TV. And guys, we will see you next Wednesday with our monthly update. Eddie will be back on. He was out today, but look forward to seeing you next week. And guys, we got a lot to talk about. So see you on the other side. Thank you.